Rising costs didn't deter shoppers from flocking to stores over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. According to a survey by the National Retail Federation, a record number of holiday shoppers hunted for deals both in person and online from Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. But are people spending, and if so, how much? We sent reporter Sarah Allen out to local stores to get an early perspective on holiday shopping.
I like 60s, 70s music. I like 80s music.
Golden Valley resident Mark Johnson Pencook,
One of my favorite album covers.
is an avid record collector.
I've collected records since I was 11 years old, probably.
It is $10.75.
Every couple of weeks, you'll find him looking to add to his collection at Fly Vintage and Vinyl in Robbinsdale.
It's not huge, but it's always has something I'm looking for.
Small business owners are under increasing pressure to attract buyers to their stores and away from large online sellers and big retail stores.
I think if you talk to a lot of small businesses, you'll hear a lot of places are saying they're 20 to 30% down this year.
Krista Kalk owns Minnesota Makers.
We often say this is the ultimate Minnesota jewelry gift. It's called a Minnestona.
The store owner appreciates the attention Small Business Saturday gave to her store.
It's the day where everybody comes out to support small business. Big box stores win the game in a lot of ways, and so it gives us all a chance to highlight what we have and to highlight the 150 small businesses we have in this one location.
Saturday's Shop Local was the busiest shopping day here at Minnesota Makers in terms of sales and foot traffic. Going forward, each Saturday until Christmas is also expected to be busy.
The one in between?
The latest numbers from the National Retail Federation say the overall holiday shopping season is on track to meet its forecast. Small businesses are hoping that their bottom line will reflect that positive news too.
2022 has been a little quieter, but we're so appreciative of the people that come out and support us.
I just love the culture that is planted here with this type of store. It adds, more color to the local community.
In Robbinsdale, Sarah Allen, CCX News.
Kalk says that Minnesota Makers created an online presence during 2020 to sell items, but that is still only a small fraction of their sales. The city of Maple Grove hopes to see improvements to a renowned traffic bottleneck. The city submitted an application for funding to improve the Fish Lake Interchange merger from westbound I-94 to northbound 494. The westbound merger goes from 4 lanes to 3, contributing to congestion and crashes. One proposal would add a westbound lane between the interchange and just beyond the Weaver Lake Road exit. It seeks nearly $5 million in funding from the Minnesota Department of Transportation's Corridors of Commerce program. The projects that receive funding are announced in May. The city of Plymouth has put together a list of legislative priorities. Transportation projects are among them. The city plans to seek $20 million in state bonding funds to make safety improvements to former County Road 47, now called Chancada Trail. It also supports a Highway 55 mobility study to consider advancing bus rapid transit. And the city seeks special legislation to allow for the creation of a tax increment financing district to help in the redevelopment of the Prudential site. The Minnesota legislature convenes January 3rd. It's not often that you hear a teacher say one of her students is going to change the world. But as Delane Cleveland reports in this week's edition of Standout Student, that's exactly how a certain Wayzata High School senior was described.
We affirm resolve. The U.S. federal government should substantially increase its investment in high-speed rail.
Within the walls of Wayzata High School, it's possible that you'll hear Neev Mangal,
disproportionately low-income and minority communities,
practicing for a debate competition. After all, they usually take up a good chunk of his weekend.
Every weekend, every Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
He's a co-captain of the debate team, and last year, he and a partner qualified for the national tournament.
And we did decent there. We could have had a better run, but I'm not super unhappy about it.
Yet debate is only part of Neev's story. This Wayzata senior is a member of the Student Council Senate. He's on the robotics team, and he helped establish an organization called Sparkway Learning, where student volunteers teach their peers about various topics they won't necessarily learn in school.
But the ultimate hope is to get people introduced to these things. Like, it's kind of hard to get introduced to, like, public speaking and debate. And so when we do a public speaking class and we see a lot of those same faces show up to join our debate team in a couple of years, that's a success to me.
Speaking of success, Neev has also worked on a project at the U of M where he used artificial intelligence to look at satellite imagery of the ocean and identify patches of floating plastic.
With like 98 to 99% accuracy. And when you know where plastic is, that can be really important in determining things like public policy, cleanup efforts, and just identifying the scope of the problem, like which areas need to focus more on cleaning it.
Staff members at Wayzata say that Neev is the total package.
He's the one who's going to change the world. I mean, he's the whole deal. So he is going to figure out some of the answers to the problems that we're facing today.
It's not every day that a student like Neev comes along, and while there are certainly high hopes for his future,
High-speed rail helps solve the affordable housing crisis by providing access to a wider housing market.
he still has the rest of his senior year to worry about.
Working with students like Neev, I mean, that's the best part of the job. It fills you with hope.
In Plymouth, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
The cold and wind did not stop the second annual Fill a Truck food drive from happening today in New Hope. The goal was to fill a 26-foot moving truck with non-perishable food for people for the holiday season. The food drive is a partnership between Golden Valley nonprofit PRISM and the moving company, 2 Men and a Truck. Inflation and tighter budgets have reduced donations to food shelves, and demand is up, so every little bit counts.
A lot of people, may not think that it's worth it to just give a can or two during the holiday season, but if everybody gave 1 can, imagine how much food that we would have and be able to offer these families.
The goal of the one-day food drive was to collect around 6,000 pounds of food.
For the second straight year, the Maple Grove football team is in the Prep Bowl. The Crimson are finishing up preparations to take on their toughest opponent of the season.
The countdown continues for Maple Grove football as the hours tick away until Friday night's state Class 6A championship game. The 12-0 Crimson feel good about their team's postseason play so far.
If offense isn't playing well, defense is going to step up. If defense isn't playing well, offense is going to get us a score. I think that's kind of carried us because we've been here in situations like this, and we've got some guys that are going to lead us to the victory.
Friday, they take on a Rosemont team that is also 12-0 and should present the toughest challenge that Maple Grove has faced all season.
They're very big up front. Have a D-end who's going to Arizona State on a track scholarship. I think they have a linebacker that's a 6'2", 215 bid that can fly. That's going to like Iowa State, I think. So they have some D1 kids, and so I mean there's some good bodies on that side that are super physical, and so we're going to have to bring our feet. That's for sure.
Big guys up front. Their O-line's pretty good. Have a couple of decent backs, but mostly just the O-line gets good movement, and obviously got to be ready for the wing too.
The Prep Bowl will mark the 4th game for the team's seniors playing at US Bank Stadium, having finished as Prep Bowl runner-up in 2021. That kind of experience on a big stage should help.
We've played 4 games in the last 2 years in US Bank, and this is their second, I believe. So, I mean, we definitely have the advantage, and we definitely have the motivation. I mean, we've been thinking about this all year, from morning lifts to practice to everything. This is all we've been thinking about is this moment, so it's great to be back.
I think play fast, play with our hearts out. We've been here before, so I think that will help us in the long run.
It's the 26th game for Maple Grove football in 2 seasons. The Crimson are hungry to make game 26 one to remember as they look to bring home a state title.
Wayzata was so close to winning another state championship in boys basketball last winter, falling to Park Center in the Class 4A final. Jason Malillo has more on this year's Trojans team, shooting for big things again this season.
The Wayzata boys basketball team is reshaping its starting 5. The graduation of Drew Birkland, Carter Bierke, and Ryan Harvey,
3 guys who are great athletes at Wayzata,
means new guys will have to step up.
The main thing for us, especially the seniors, is going to be the leadership.
Spencer Hall and Hayden Tibbetts are Wayzata's 2 returning starters. Tibbetts is ready for the challenge and eager to do more for his team.
Especially being, an experienced player, just kind of being there for others, being a good teammate, and then helping the newer guys out with that process. And then also just having to do more on the court, being the kind of go-to guy and doing what I'm asked to.
Head coach Brian Schnettler says the Trojans might be a little quicker this season, though they'll play a similar style with a few tweaks.
We'll vary up what we run on offense and how we guard on defense depending on who our players are.
The biggest difference will probably be the absence of Bierke down low.
On defense, it's going to be similar. We're still quick, so we're going to get up and pressure people. On offense, though, it's going to be different. Carter was a post threat. Our new big guy, Jackson, he can shoot the lights out, so we'll be more on the perimeter.
Jackson is Jackson McAndrew. He was dynamite off the bench last season as a sophomore.
He's 6'8". He collected 6 Division I offers this summer, so he's got a chance to have a big year for us. He can really shoot it.
Wayzata bowed to Park Center in the 2022 state final.
That locker room was crushed.
A loss that still stings.
I think about it all the time.
But it's a new season, and Wayzata should have the talent, depth, and motivation to ball out this winter. Jason Malillo, CCX Sports.
The Lake Conference will institute a shot clock this season for all conference games. The shot clock will not be used for non-conference or postseason games. The Trojans open the season December 6th at Lakeville South. That's all for sports. More CCX News in a moment.
Find more prep sports games and highlights at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.